The elite programs win the games that they're supposed to win, and sometimes they win them in resounding style, but even when they don't have their A game, they win them going away. Florida 38, Vandy 17. We got Jackie Franchuli on the line from All Gators on SI. Jackie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mark?
I am doing just fine. Appreciate you stopping by for some instant analysis, and want to remind everyone that we're here every day. Please lock it in with the subscription and turn on the bell for the notification. All right, Jackie, your thoughts about a game that got off to a rough start in regards to Vandy being overwhelmed much of this season. They're still winless. Saw a graphic during the game that they had not had a first quarter lead against a top 10 team in 8 years, but they did grab one at 10-7. Your thoughts about the Gators getting out of the gate a bit slow?
Yeah, it seems like Florida doesn't have a very good tradition when it comes to early kickoffs in Nashville. I remember 2 years ago where they gave a very couple points to Vandy there in that first half. So they just don't have a really good tradition playing early games and 11 a.m. kickoff in Nashville. But I think Dan Mullen, Kyle Trask, all of them, kind of summed it up great. They won and they stubbed their toe a little bit, but they still managed to win. All great teams have bad games, but they managed to win, and they managed to win, by double digits. That's, yes, they didn't play their best, but when you dissect the game a little bit, Kyle Trask still had a very good game, threw for over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, did not turn over the ball. And then you look at Kadarius Toney, he had nearly 200 yards, all-purpose yards, and he could have had 200 yards, all-purpose yards if his return wasn't called back for a holding. And then you got to see Khair Elam, he had a pick in that fourth quarter. And then you got to see the young guys on defense, like Tyron Hopper. I think he's a guy that they've underutilized still, but he's a guy that showed some aggressiveness that this defense, to be fair, has lacked. Yes, their defense still has some problems. Yes, they need to reevaluate that once they go through the season and you're thinking of the SEC championship game against Alabama. But yeah, I think if you're a Florida fan, there are a lot of positives you take out of this. Remember, a couple years ago, before Mullen, these are type of games that would have been losses. They would dig themselves a hole and not be able to fight back. But you got a guy under center in Kyle Trask that keeps us cool, that keeps, guys level-headed. And, I talked about Kyle Trask's stats, and you just have to wonder how his stats would look like right now if their drops weren't there. Florida wide receivers had a couple drops in this game too. So I think moving forward, Florida is going to look at this game and be like, we did what we had to do in this game. It wasn't pretty, but at the end of the day, we're still en route to Atlanta.
When I look at the running back distribution in regards to carries, it's all over the place, led by Damian Pierce with 11. Similar to what you mentioned on the defensive side with getting young guys into the game, do you think that also factors into the carry distribution, certainly once the game got in that 24-10, 31-10 range in which they felt a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah, for sure. They are still trying to bring in the young guys and therefore experience. I think, that's one thing that Dan Mullen actually was highly critical of the defensive side of the ball. Honestly, he said that he wants to get young guys in there, and that's something that he has done on the offensive side. We've seen, guys like Josh Braun on the O-line getting reps. We've seen guys like Lorenzo Lingard, that you just pointing out, a running back coming in and getting reps. We've seen guys on wide receiver that's young also getting reps. Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson wasn't playing, but he also gets reps too. So obviously that is something that, he's done, but that's something that he's upset that the defense hasn't done that. We talked about Tyron Hopper, and he's one that, didn't get reps that much earlier. And even my son, who's 3, realized that is upsetting. He wants Tyron Hopper to have more reps. So yeah, I think that's a little bit of, that's why you're seeing more reps that running back. And that's something that Dan Mullen has usually done with a lot of his positions. And I think they're still trying to find their groove on the ground. I think Kamari Gamble is one guy that has allowed them to get more rushes because he's such a great blocker. And I think he's taking their opportunities that he's had now with Kyle Pitts out. And you're seeing Kamari Gamble kind of take his opportunities, with both hands, either by a pass catcher. He had a couple touchdowns today, but also by showing that he can sacrifice that by being a good blocker for Florida.
Despite losing all that wide receiver talent, from 2019. Kadarius Toney, of course, doing what he does best, 107 yards, and everybody else pretty ingrained in the program. But Justin Shorter, we've discussed him in the past coming in from Penn State. What does he bring to this offense after a 6-catch, 94-yard day?
Yeah, what a big win for Florida as far as in the transfer portal with Justin Shorter. I think Florida has done such a great well, and I actually talked to somebody today. Two of their best offensive weapons are from the Northeast, Kyle Pitts and Justin Shorter from Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And Shorter is such a great offensive weapon because he is such a great route runner. He will go and pick up the balls in the air. He's physical, kind of like Trevon Grimes did today at that touchdown. They're both really physical wide receivers, and they kind of fits the mold of Billy Gonzalez's. Those are the type of wide receivers that he likes to recruit. And yet Shorter is an excellent weapon. He's so mature, so disciplined. And I think when you look at Dan Mullen's offense, those are the type of wide receivers that will help out because he also does the dirty work. He also gets those blocks. And I think that's something where if you're on Florida's offense, this is how you have to play. You have to be all around good wide receiver, something that Justin Shorter does. It's not like he's just passing catches out there. He's also doing really well as a blocker. Which is critical if you're going to play in Dan Mullen's offense, which is why sometimes, people ask, why isn't this wide receiver playing? Well, it's because, they might not do all that at facets correctly. Billy Gonzalez and Dan Mullen are really into being all around good wide receivers. And Justin Shorter is one of those that has developed that. I think a lot of people forgot about him early on. It took a little while for the NCAA to grant his eligibility. And then don't forget, he had to come in during a no spring. Fall camps were reduced, so he needed more time to get adjusted to this offensive system and more adjusted to playing with Kyle Trask. And I think every Gator fan has to say thank you to Mama Shorter because she practices with him after every day. She throws around 100 passes to him. She moved to Gainesville from up north. So thank you, Mama Shorter, should be something that every Gator fan is saying right now.
Well, a number of us need to say thank you to our moms on a regular basis. No question about that. And many an athletic endeavor and accomplishment could be traced back to Mama's help along the way. No question about that. Kentucky, again, having difficult finding the end zone again today with only 3 points on the board, but they gave up 63 to Alabama. That's the next opponent as Florida travels home to take on the Wildcats. Jackie Franchuli on the line. You can catch her on All Gators on SI.com. It's All Gators with Jackie Franchuli. Jackie, we appreciate so much you breaking this one down for us.